Corbyn. Point of order, Mr. Jeremy
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
oh, bless me.
Parliament
Oh.
clearly spoke.
Oh, God almighty.
Order, apologies. The Prime Minister was heard. Yes, he was. Don't argue the toss with the chair. I'm telling you what the situation is, and everybody can detect. The Prime Minister was heard, and the Leader of the Opposition will be heard. It is as simple and unarguable as that. Jeremy Corbyn. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome today's vote. It's an emphatic decision by this House that has declined to back the Prime Minister's deal today and clearly voted to stop a no-deal crash out from the European Union. The Prime Minister must now comply with the law. He can no longer use the threat of a no-deal crash out to blackmail members to support his sellout deal. Labour is not prepared to sell out the communities that we represent. We're not prepared to sell out their future. And we believe that ultimately the people must have the final say on Brexit, which actually only the Labour Party is offering. Today is an historic day for Parliament because it said it will not be blackmailed by a Prime Minister who is apparently prepared once again to defy a law passed by this Parliament. I invite him to think very carefully about the remarks he just made about refusing, apparently, to apply for the extension which the EU No. 2 Act requires him to do. Point of order, Mr. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm most grateful. I think all of us in this House are aware of the responsibilities that we have. This is a crisis that
Confused yet? It's a constitutional crisis.
The House has voted the way it has done on the amendment this afternoon. There is a clear expression from this House that we cannot crash out on the 31st of October. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask you what we can do to make sure that the Prime Minister respects.
Is my prediction coming right? Remember my prediction?
The Prime Minister respects the Ben Act and sends a letter to the European Council seeking that extension. And I wonder what we can do to make
Boris
sure
Johnson's no deal
that the government
still on the
does not
cards.
bring forward a bill until that extension, as has been instructed, is delivered upon. And any failure of a Prime Minister who thinks he's above the law, well, Prime Minister, you'll find yourself in court.
God almighty.
I don't mean it in any spirit of discourtesy to the right honourable gentleman, but I think his contribution was rhetorical in the sense that I don't think he was particularly inviting my immediate response. If he was doing so, I would say to him that I think judicious consideration of these matters is always beneficial to colleagues across the House. Everybody, of course, must abide by the law. The right honourable gentleman is versatile, dexterous and experienced in the use of the parliamentary weaponry to try to ensure that his point of view prevails. So we'll leave it there for now. Point of order, Joe Swinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister's deal was a bad deal, and the public deserve to have the final say, not just the hundreds of thousands who are marching outside, but the millions of people across our country.
Order, I recognise there are very strongly held views on both sides of the House and on both sides of this debate, but the leader of the Liberal Democrats must be heard. And it is unconscionable if there is an attempt to stop someone being heard. Joe Swinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the people who are outside this building right now will be heard, and they deserve the final say, along with millions across the country. So the most urgent thing right now, Mr. Speaker, is that the Prime Minister complies with the law. And I ask your guidance. Would it be possible to suspend the sitting for a short time to allow the Prime Minister to go and send his letter and come back and make a statement to the House to confirm that he has done so?
I'm grateful to the honourable lady. It is not my intention to suspend the sitting. The point will have been heard by the Prime Minister. I say to the honourable lady, all sorts of things are possible, but as to what is judged appropriate at this time, I think the puckish grin on the contours of the honourable lady's face suggests that she was making a point but not expecting such a decision. I'm grateful to her. Of course I will come to the... momentarily. Of course I will come to the honourable gentleman. A point of order, Sir Oliver Letwin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say first of all to the Prime Minister that I actually agree with what he said at the end there, and that I'm absolutely certain he will comply with the law. I want to say to friends and colleagues across the House who helped us achieve this amendment, which I believe to be profoundly in the national interest, that I'm very grateful for that cooperation, and that our ways are now going to part. Because for many of us on these benches who have cooperated in preventing a no-deal exit by putting in place or helping to put in place the Ben Act and helping to keep its insurance policy in place today, now when the Prime Minister brings the withdrawal implementation bill to the House of Commons, we will be voting for it. We will continue to vote for it. We will seek to ensure that it becomes the law before the 31st of October. And if it does so become the law, this country will leave on the 31st of October, of hope that I share with the Prime Minister, but it will do so on the basis of knowing that should anything go wrong, we will not crash out without a deal on that date.
I'm most grateful to the right honourable gentleman, and so will many members of the House for the clarity of his exposition. Well, people take their own view of it, but it's certainly clear and very pithy, and I'm grateful to the right honourable gentleman. Point of order, Mr. Nigel Dodds.
This decision now will give further time for detailed consideration of the bill when it comes forward. It will also give an opportunity to consider in detail whatever amendments come forward. It has the effect of not approving this deal today. And of course, we will examine all the details of the bill and all amendments in the light of our overriding concern about the constitutional economic integrity of the Union. That is our priority. It will remain our priority in the days ahead, and that is the basis on which we will now proceed in a timely and sensible manner.
I'm grateful. Our proceeding, I hope the honourable gentleman will take it in the right spirit. If, having known him for over 20 years, I say that I feel that our proceedings would not be complete without a point of order from the honourable gentleman, the member for Stone, the chair of the European Scrutiny Committee. Well, somebody is suggesting a division, but I will not allow a division on that matter. Point of order, Sir William Cash.
There is much talk about the law of the land. The law of the land as it stands at this moment in time is quite simple. Section 1
Check
of
guy's
the
lugs
Withdrawal
up
Act
now.
2018 categorically states that the European Communities Act is repealed on exit day, which is the 31st of October.
It's like he's only got one ear.
Can't read.
Well, he's grateful, and I'm sure the House will be indebted to the honourable gentleman for his legal exegesis.
So we had a hugely significant vote in the House of Commons, and Mr. Speaker is just managing the responses to that vote right now. But if you're just joining us here on BBC News for this special coverage, let me just update you on what has just happened in the House of Commons as MPs are filing out of the House now, having really started to digest the importance of what's gone on, because an amendment presented by the Conservative MP, Sir Oliver Letwin, has been carried, and has been carried by 322 to 306, as we can see there on the screen. So in this very finely balanced House of Commons, that's a pretty majority of 16, and a very big setback for Boris Johnson, because what does this mean? It means that MPs have backed an amendment which says that you can't have a vote on the final Brexit deal until all the legislation has been passed by the Commons. Now, that is a very, very
So there's no vote today?
development in this process, and for those people expecting the big vote on Brexit to happen today, well, it's not going to happen. Because what's going to happen now is that Boris Johnson will bring forward legislation next week in the hope that that can be passed in rapid order by the Houses of Parliament in order for Brexit to happen on the 31st of October. I think it's fair to say that that is an ambitious parliamentary task.
Well, what's the result of Super Saturday? It's a draw. Replay.
Correspondent in the central lobby of the Houses of Parliament.
Oh, God.
We have to underline, Vicky, how significant a moment that was.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the government just did not have the numbers to defeat that. And just to recap, it means that what they've passed is something
My
that
God,
says
what a pile of
this
shite.
House has considered
What a
the
pile of
matter,
shite. There we
i.e.
go,
the
no
deal,
vote.
and
It's a draw.
withholds its approval
1 point
until the
each.
legislation,
FA
the
Cup
bill
replay
which
next
backs the
week.
withdrawal agreement goes through. Now, those who voted for it say that it stops the possibility of, by somehow, the Prime Minister and the House of Commons...
I thought we were going to know one way or the other,
trying
or
to
somewhat,
no deal
but
Brexit at the end of October. There are others, though, who are saying they're just simply trying yet again to block Brexit completely. So the big question, what happens next? What this means is that by law, the Prime Minister has to ask the EU for another delay to Brexit. It's called the Ben Act. That kicks in at 11 o'clock tonight. But interestingly, Boris Johnson, as he said all along, suggesting there he's just not going to do it. I will not negotiate a delay, nor does the law force me to. There's been so much speculation about how he could somehow get round this law. No one really thinks he can, but there's been talk of whether he sends one letter and then another saying, look, I don't really want this. The other thing he did say, and we know will happen now, is that the legislation, that withdrawal agreement bill, will be introduced to the House of Commons early next week. It would mean potentially a big vote on Tuesday night on what's called the second reading. That's the first stage, really, of any bill that goes through this place. And that will be a big moment, because that could be, if it gets through the second reading, the first time that the House of Commons has backed any kind of withdrawal agreement to do with Brexit. So that is now being seen potentially as an alternative to the big meaningful vote that we might have had today. And there's still a possibility, although not a large one, but there is still a possibility that if that bill gets through the House of Commons and the House of Lords by the 31st of October, that we still do leave with a deal on the 31st of October. The big question, though, what will Boris Johnson do tonight about sending that letter? If he does send it, or if someone else sends it, what does the EU do?
did you get that? We're definitely maybe leaving on the 31st, still probably up to.
Earlier was that the Prime Minister.
Anyway, God almighty, I thought there would be some big mass revelation or something there, but obviously not. Big hoo-ha for nothing. Right, I'm going to go and get dinner sorted. What time's it? 3 o'clock, 3 hours, and I can start eating. So hopefully you've enjoyed that, everybody. Thumbs it up, share it, friends, family, foes, help the channel and the show grow. And remember, I'm digital busking, all available and accessible free of charge. Patreon and PayPal buttons down below if you want to contribute to the show. Alrighty, boob tubes. Catchies. Have a good weekend, everyone.